first thank everybody who came out today. It's great to have a packed house here. We're going to have a few things coming up, Q&A, where you get to talk to some people in the film and the filmmakers. We're going to follow that with some discussion about some tiny house issues in New Jersey. First, I just need to thank some people really quick, and we'll get started. I have to first thank my wife, Barbara, who for 4 years has put up with this film financially. She supported it with all her heart and has done so much for this homeless cause, for the people in Tent City in so many ways, and most important, putting up with working with me working on this film for 4 years has been probably complete torture for her. She stuck with me to the end. My wife Barbara. Going to Tent City and meeting all the residents there, it was just amazing. The first day I was there, everything was so warm, people were polite and loving and caring, and I immediately knew. I thought the first day I went there, I didn't know how it would go, and I don't mean with my camera, just to check the place out, and I knew immediately I could spend some time there. So I want to thank all the people at Tent City, not just Minister Steve, but the people in the film, the people that were not in the film, but were always good to me, and everybody there has been treated me so well when I was filming this over the years. So I want to thank everybody from Tent City. We had a nice little crew of people help put this event together. Cindy Lanouette, I know her so well I can't pronounce her last name. Today's Cindy's birthday. She's working back there, she's selling t-shirts and DVDs and stuff. And Rosemary Conte, who did that wonderful introduction, has been helping out so much with the press and the media, and she helped fill this place. I want to thank Joan Aponte, who is one of the hardest working homeless advocates I know. She's up there helping out as well, and part of the little group. And last, Kevin Pridemore. Kevin is a Tent City resident who is still living in a tent in the woods, and he's giving tours in the house on the way out. So whenever you end up leaving, please stop at the house in the corner and check it out before you go home. You'll meet Kevin over there, a great guy. I want to thank Jim, who's running this whole thing here at the House of Independence, for doing a great job. Yeah. So much work in making it Is that the way of saying you're welcome, Jim? And then last, I just want to thank all of the people, so many people, I can't list all their names, who have helped put this film together. There's so many people volunteering time and donating money in so many ways. Everybody out there, I can't list all your names, but you know who you are. Just know that I know what you did, and I'm still amazed by all the help I received on this film by people who cared about the film, the project, Tent City, the homeless. So without you, we could never have made this movie. So I want to thank everybody who got involved with this production, including you, the people who showed up today to support the film and be here today. Thank you very much. Has anyone ever heard of the movie called The Blob? Yeah. Steve McQueen, right? In 1958, there was a young filmmaker who was the art director on that film and then went on to make documentaries for a living for PBS. He has been nominated for 2 Academy Awards. He received 2 Peabody Awards and several Emmy Awards, just to mention a few of his accomplishments. And he has taught me a lot about filmmaking, and he has a big part of what you just saw here. You know, a lot of people could be a good cameraman, a lot of people could be good editors, but storytelling is something really special, and he took so much time to teach me how to tell a story while putting a documentary together like this. So he is my mentor, my friend, and the executive producer of Destiny's Bridge, and he's out there somewhere. Bill, would you come up here, please? Bill Jersey.
Certain people shouldn't get involved with life over, and you'll be happy they did.
Yes, we did, didn't we? We put a lot of time into this film. Can I ask you a question? And then people think if you want to ask Bill or me a question, we're going to go through a progress moving on, but why did you decide to get involved with this film? Do you remember?
Yes, I do. I remember distinctly. I remember seeing the rough cut. Well, no, actually it wasn't a rough cut. It was a finished film. At Acme Screening Room, I'll take a plug for them. If you're anywhere in the Lambertville area, come to the Acme Screening Room. Filmmakers bring their films and talk about them. I saw a potential, and I also intuitively felt that you would be somebody who would listen to the possibility of change. This is a finished film, and I'll tell you, the effort it takes, the money, the time, the involvement with people who are not always wonderful, to get a film finished is enormous. And I had the temerity to say, hey, would you like to change it? And you said yes. And that's what made me get involved. But I also want to say one thing. The film has so many wonderful lines. It's a good film, my friend. The film has so many lines in it. Yeah, you can applaud. And I would say, as a judge for the Motion Picture Academy, as well as a judge for the Emmys, though I didn't choose my own film, I know a little bit about filmmaking, and I know a lot about judging a film that works. This film works. Yep. Yeah. And that's important. Because you can have noble, good intentions, and good intentions often go awry for a lot of reasons. But this good intention got better and better and better, and I think you nailed it, Jack, beautifully. But you know, the bottom line for me, and it comes right out of your film, Minister Steve said something like, I think he said it or somebody else said it, said, you know, when your vision begins to fail, you know something is wrong. He was talking about eyesight. We're talking about this country. This country's vision has begun to fail. And I don't like what's being offered by the visionaries on television. I like what's being offered by the visionaries who lived this life because they got help when they needed it, and they lived it to the best they could. Now, you know, they're not bargains, a lot of these people. But then, we're not all bargains either. So let's hear it tonight for the vision that can be and must be restored in this country.
Does anybody have a question they'd like to ask Bill or myself about the film? Anything? If you do, you could raise your hand, you could just yell it out. Does anything come to mind to anybody? Yes, right there. Go ahead. All right, what we'll do, that's a good question. She asked, what happened to the people that lived at Tent City? And well, let's save that question for when Minister Steve comes up, but I'll tell you, well, let me tell you the part that's in the film. He could give you an update, but it turned out that the township of Lakewood made a settlement with the homeless at Tent City and gave them 1 year of free housing. So that answers your question. Not all, a couple holdouts, like Minister Steve, didn't take the deal. He stayed homeless, but most did, and they ended up, after a year, some of them made it and continued, and some of them, a lot of them ended up back in the woods, scattered throughout Ocean and Monmouth County. Sure, you're welcome. And we can talk about that a little more when Minister Steve comes up in a few minutes. Any other questions? Yes, sure. Executive producer, what are we going to do with this?
Every one of you are going to buy 10 copies, send it out to 10 friends, and tell them to buy 10 copies. 10 by 10 is 100, and maybe those 100 people will 10, and that's 1,000. The only thing we can do is stop believing that only big and rich people can make this country well. The little people can do something, and I say, folks, you got to start doing it. I said it.
So we're not even sure where that's going. Bill sent it out to some of his contacts at PBS, and we're going to start moving along and talking about that.
We've got great responses, but you know, the idea of trying to take, you notice in all the debates so far between all of the candidates, the ones that I like and the ones I can't stand, Nobody has talked about poverty in America.
That's right.
Not one
That's
person.
right.
So we got to start pushing. Got to stop saying, "Hey."
Any other questions out there? Yes, sir. It was owned by, I guess, public property owned by Lakewood. So Lakewood owned that property where Tent City was, and that answers your question, right? That's what you're curious? Is that public? Some people say, well, if Lakewood owns it, then that's the public's property, right? Making it public property. But any questions about the details of what's going on? Minister Steve will be up in a minute. Is there any more questions from Bill or I? Anybody have anything else? Go ahead. Well, that's part of the distribution. I didn't even have a good answer for the first gentleman who asked that. We will get it going out somewhere, and that's the things that will be coming up soon. Go to the website, or upstairs you can sign your email down, get on our email list, and you'll find out where the distribution is going. We hope some good things come out of it. Well, there's a lot of people who should get a copy of this. I don't know if they open their mail, really. Well, why don't... Okay, we'll take one or two and then we'll move on here. Right there, go ahead. Al, yeah.
I keep reading about tiny houses and townships being pissed off that these people are off the grid, as it were, and denying them the rights to live even on their own property because they're off the grid. How is that going to work?
Well, Al, we're going to get into tiny houses in a minute, but let me give you the short answer that there are issues with people building tiny houses on their own property. Even if you own 20 acres, you could still have all kinds of complications, and for the most part, they're illegal to build. And we're going to talk about that. It's a good question. We'll get to that. And one last one right there. Right. Right. Well, the problem is, that's another good question for it. What we're going to be doing in a few minutes is we're going to be talking about the details. I got some professionals, some experts who know a little bit more about that question. Anything for Bill Jersey? Or we'll stay up here. Let's move on. Let's move on.
Jack?
Yes?
Rosemary
Hey,
here.
Rosemary, where are you? I hear you.
I'd like to ask that if there's anyone here who has leadership in a local organization or a church, we plan to screen this film a lot of places, as many places as we can be invited or talk our way into. So if you think you can help secure a place where we can show this film again, let somebody know at the merchandise table. Thank you.
Thank you, Rosemary. Yeah, we're gonna just so you know, we're gonna be doing a tour throughout New Jersey, promoting the film, the concept of tiny houses. So if you're associated with an organization, it could be a church, a theater, community screening, just like what we're doing here. We keep the conversation going. We bring the tiny house. Minister Steve and I go. Bill will always be invited. Maybe he'll stop in for a few, and we'll keep this conversation going. And that's important. Thank you, Rosemary. So please let us know. You can always go to destinysbridge.com and click to contact whatever, and it comes to me, and I will get back to you. So if you have any ideas, there's also a link on the website called Request a Screening. You click on that, put some information, I'll contact you, and we'll see what we can do to continue to keep this story out there and keep getting the word around. Okay, so now, what I'd like to do is call up the main subject of the film.
One question.
The founder, yeah.
Is the mayor of Asbury Park here tonight? I don't think so.
Is the mayor here? Of either Lakewood or Asbury Park? Are there any mayors here? That's a good question. If there are any politicians, we'd like to hear from you in a little bit. We'll get right to that. Anyway, back to Minister Steve. He's the founder of Tent City. He slept in a tent in the woods last night. He has dedicated his life to living with and helping the homeless. So why don't you come up, Minister Steve? We've been doing this a long time, haven't we?
It's been a while now.
And I've never asked you this question, I always wondered. When you, from watching the film quite a few times now, what is your favorite part of the film? Does anything come to mind?
Well, Jack, I think I always get a good feeling when I go out into town square and I give away. I do that a couple times a week. And I've been doing that for about 16 years now, but I always get a good feeling. It's encouraging, it's strengthening, it's just, you know, it's more blessed to give than it is to receive. So I had to say, every time I'm giving out there in town square, it's a good feeling.
I know that feeling watching you is a good feeling. Watching those people light up. See, Minister Steve goes to town square. Sometimes he used to go a few times a week. I think you go now every Saturday, right? But besides all his work with the homeless, he brings food, clothing, supplies to just poor people living in the Lakewood community. So there's that's really what we did some filming there. Yeah. How about your least favorite? Does anything come to mind?
Well,
Something comes to mind for me.
Jack, I would say it was just the aggression of the township. You know, the township coming in and using whatever they could to try to shut down Tent City. You know, not caring for the residents of Tent City, not caring for the homeless, and realizing that was the only place they had to live. And the aggression personally against me. You know, coming in and under, you know, false pretenses and you know, arresting me and things like that. So, you know, I want, I guess, like the movie said, or like the documentary says, you know, I'm very proud of this country, and I want to see things that make me proud in this country.
Jack, I have one question. Why don't you get mad? I would be so mad. I'd be furious. I'd be kicking stones and tearing leaves off trees because I don't hurt animals.
Well, that's what they wanted, Bill. They wanted me to get too upset, and that's what they were trying to push me to that point, you know, where I lost it. But I realized the cause was bigger than my feelings, and I had to keep it under control.
You know, the night that Minister Steve got arrested, by the time they took him to Lakewood, he was there for a couple hours. He went to Tom's River, spent a few hours there. I think you got in around 3 in the morning, 4 in the morning. When'd you get back to the camp? 5 in the morning?
Well, it was twice they arrested me.
But the first time?
Yeah, the first time it was about 3 in the morning.
Okay, so after he gets arrested, 3 o'clock in the morning, and I find out, and I was lucky enough that Nadira filmed it, and I got the word, so I got there first thing in the morning. It must have been 8 o'clock, 9 o'clock. He was in town square handing food out of his bus to the people in Lakewood. 5 hours, and I don't think he slept too well that night. 5 hours later, he was in town square handing out to the poor in Lakewood, and you know, that's I know exactly what Bill means by that question. Any questions? Let's have a few questions for Minister Steve about anything. Go ahead. Who's got the right there? Yeah, go ahead.
And that we seem to be accepting it. I'd like to know, are there any other countries other than the ones in the United States of America where this situation exists
Yeah, oh, yeah.
Yeah,
It was very
everyone
good.
heard it pretty well. I very appreciate you speaking so loud.
Yeah, I would say it's discrimination by design. We're making laws that make it hard for the poor to exist in the average community, middle-class community. And again, you know, the answer's there. These tiny homes. We've got the material, we've got the land, we've got the manpower, we've got everything it takes to build tiny homes for people where they can rent it at $300 a month. They can afford it at a minimum wage job. It's there. Everything's there. It's again.
You're wrong. We don't have everything. We don't have vision.
Well, it's the
Without vision, the people perish. You know where that
right.
comes from.
Oh, yeah. But yeah, it's the political will. It's you know, the political will, right? And we need that. That's what it takes to make a change.
Also, we should answer her question. The question is, no, America is not worse. You go to South America, you go to India, you go to other foreign countries, and they are, in fact, the disparity is more extreme, which does not, of course, for 1 microsecond excuse what we're doing. But just, I do think we should not be careless about exaggerating the problems in America. It doesn't help us solve them. We need to address them honestly and openly, and our own shortcomings ourselves as a community.
Yeah, if anybody wants to, when you ask a question, if you could yell out loudly, great, we'll hear you. If not, you can always come up to this mic. It's up to you. But we can hear pretty good up here so far. You had a question right there? Yeah, go ahead. Oh, we'll get, okay, go ahead. Yes, you. My fault. I point. You gotta repeat that question. Repeat what she said. I don't think anybody heard.
Okay.
Repeat
Yeah.
the question.
Okay.
That's it.
Yeah, there's people in the community that are doing things for the poor, and what I guess was the impetus or what motivated me to do what I do and you know, sacrifice as far as living in the tent. I think that's the gist of the question. Well, again, you know, the cause found me. There was somebody that couldn't afford their boarding house in Jackson and asked if I could help. And I just, I realized I couldn't pay this fellow's monthly boarding home rent. And so I says, you know, I can give you a tent in the woods and some camping gear and help you. And so he did. He found other homeless people. They knew of other homeless people. I found 15 people living in abandoned cars in Lakewood. So I realized something was wrong. You know, people living out in the woods in New Jersey in the middle of the winter time. So I realized something needed to be done. And I guess I had that, you know, as a lot of people do, if you see a problem, you want to fix it. You want to, you know, what's wrong here? And so that was my situation. And I just wasn't, I couldn't bring in enough money to live in an apartment. So I says, you know, this cause is important. I'm going to sacrifice. I'm going to do what it takes. And besides, there's something else there. There's another element and factor there. You can feel for the people that you're helping if you're in their same situation. If you're living in the tent like they lived in a tent that night, if you're eating the same food that they ate that morning, you know exactly where they're at. And so, and it helps them also. It gives them a feeling that somebody, they're worth enough that somebody's willing to sacrifice for them. And so there's a lot of elements there, a lot of factors. And so again, and it feels good. And I'm the type of person that I don't mind minimalizing. I'm not somebody who's looking for the big house or looking for the fancy car or the big boat. That's not me. I like nature. I like simplicity. I like basics. I like tiny homes. And so, again, this living, you know, in a tent in the woods for 10 years now that I've been doing it, again, I feel a sense of gratification doing it. I still do today. You know, I don't wake up in the morning saying, I wish I was in an apartment or a nice house. I don't say that. I listen to the birds in the morning, you know, and it's beautiful to me. And then again, it's reaching out.
I'm surprised. I know you have a very significant religious faith, but you don't press that on people.
Well, it's convince a man against his will, he's of the same opinion still. So, you show it, you just let it.
Very good, very good. Okay, does anybody else have a question? If you do, you come right up to the mic. I was going to suggest that you probably...
Oh, it's off.
No, Jim, is that mic up? It's on now. He probably turned it on for you. Okay, bring it down, tilt it down.
Sorry. Speak softly.
Okay.
Hi, my name is Jerry. I work as a trauma nurse at Jersey Shore University Medical Center. And this past week, I had a patient who was admitted to my floor. And after going through her discharge and her information, she had like some injuries from her incident. But the one thing she was worried about was being homeless. She didn't have anywhere else to go after. So I was wondering what was being done now. Like, what are their plans now? And has the political landscape with the Bernie supporters helped like revitalize the interest in the movement of helping the homeless? Because it's still an issue in Ocean County.
Oh, definitely.
The services are lacking.
Good question. Minister Steve, do you have any thoughts on that?
I get calls all the time. I got a call just yesterday of a fellow who had no other options. He was referred to me by another organization that's, trying to help people with housing.
So what did you end up telling him? That's what we need to know. Because I get emails, people email me at the film, and they just email me at destinysbridge.com and they tell me they're homeless or getting kicked out next week. The same calls you get. I get emails and phone calls from time to time.
All the time.
And she brings up a good point. What do we tell these people, Minister Steve?
Well, I try to inject as much hope as I can. I tell them what usually is the root of the problem, and I say that we're working toward creating something for the homeless, something sustainable, something that will help them with job training, something that will help them make enough money to earn or to have some type of housing, tiny home or whatever. So I do my best just to inject hope.
I think she just gave a good example of how you operate in this world. Notice she didn't stay in the background and yell. She went all the way down. She said, I'm going to get down there. I'm going to get where I can be seen. I'm going to get the microphone where I can be heard. And I'll be seen and be heard because of what you did. And you are an example.
Any other questions? We're going to move along. And we'll take...
Jack, we have a question up here at the top of the stairs, gentlemen.
Okay, great. And that's it. I just want to say we'll take one or two more. And please don't be discouraged because when we're done, we're sticking around. So you can talk to any of us after this Q&A. We just want to move it along as quickly as possible. Okay, Jim, you have somebody up there?
Yes.
Yes.
Go ahead.
As I've lived in this area, I've noticed something there in Lakewood that was really special. And I think that's been missed. There's been a lot of building in Lakewood. There has been billions of dollars of building. Why wasn't some of that part of it? It should be a part of our Judeo-Christian beliefs. That you also feel that if you've built, that you've got to share. And where is that happening within Lakewood? Maybe it has happened. I don't want to be unfair. But have you seen any of that, Stephen?
Well, there's major disparity in Lakewood. Major disparity, and a lot of that's funded by tax dollars, government subsidies. And so it's not fair, and I did file complaints with HUD, and I had all the evidence, of unfair housing and segregation and all that, and HUD came back and said, your documents are over a year and a half old. The ramifications from those documents, from that evidence, is still, magnified and multiplied, 100 times over. But so that was the answer. So again, that's some of the things that discourage us.
Did you want to come up to the mic and we'll do one more question, okay? If there's somebody who really needs some answer, hang in there, but we'll go ahead.
My name is Elaine Taylor. I'm from Howell. I went before the council and brought to their attention the need for small houses, tiny houses in our communities, not just in Howell, but in all communities. And in my opinion, they kind of laughed me out of the room. And they said to me, well, we know what the people want. They want 2-bedroom condos with an Olympic-sized pool. Now, I mean, we know that's very foolish, but I think that what we need to do is everyone in this room needs to go to their township meetings and tell them we need the public land to be designated for tiny houses for those that cannot afford anything else. We have to do it. We have to go, we have to build the rooms, and we have to tell them what we want, because it's public land and it belongs to us.
Thank you very much. Hey, I'd like to move along here, and there's a few people I want to introduce. Maybe, hey, Elwood, are you in the house here? Elwood from the film. I saw. Hey, Elwood, come up to this mic, okay? Come on up here. I want to get you guys up here. Remember Elwood? And Charlie is here. Charlie. Charlie, come up here. Oh, you're right next to him. Hollywood John, are you all right up there? Come on down. Come on. Good. Hey, you know what we'll do? Let's have one question for each of these guys. Does anybody want to ask Elwood a question? We have a mic there, Elwood, you could answer him.
Couch surfing. I got a tent, but I live in other people's rooms too.
You live where?
Bounce around from one place to another place.
Bounce around, yeah. You're doing well. In recovery? Things are going great. Good job, Elwood. Good job. Elwood's on a long road and he's doing great. Amazing. Amazing.
Yes, thank you.
Any questions for Charlie? Does somebody want to ask him a quick question?
He's been in total remission and
Very well.
I was fortunate enough to get into a program about a year or so before Tent City closed, and I was put into a studio apartment in Toms River for about 2 years and a month, and then I now live for like the past year and a half in a retirement community in Lakewood.
Do you remember John was in the film? He had a little argument with Deborah in the beginning, and then at the end we saw him packing. He was the last person or second to the last person to leave Tent City. You were the last. He was the second to last. Yes. He was at the end of the film. Now listen, if anybody asks you where you live, and I'm serious, don't tell them exactly where. But John still lives in the woods, and again, we don't want to say where exactly. Does anybody have a question for John?
Why do you got this tiny horse on?
Yeah.
John, use the microphone. Yeah, here.
John, have you stopped arguing with women?
Hello?
I got a question for John.
Go ahead.
John, why is it so hot outside?
You're trying to gather the temperature.
That's right.
All right. How about a big hand for these three guys coming up here? By the way, did I miss anybody that was in the film? Did anybody else? I think we covered everybody. And there's several others from Tent City that are still living in the woods now, that lived in Tent City and got into some sort of housing. A lot of people here from the camp. And I appreciate all of you coming here tonight. We'll get to talk a little more later. And the first thing I want to do is ask, there's somebody out there, Bill Taylor from Saltbox Homes. I don't know if you could yell it out, Bill, but how much did it cost? He built the house in Destiny's Bridge. How much did that house cost, or any average house cost, tiny house?
I said, hey, they ain't gonna get me. You're looking good, man. You were a little sore in the hip and stuff. Yeah. They want no hip replacement.
So it's about $14,000. You're gonna go up to the mic, okay, great. Just so $14,000 in supplies
And materials.
and materials.
And then we have all public labor, a lot of free labor. Everyone wants to help do things like this.
But if somebody needed to hire the labor, we're looking at 14, 15.
That house in the film was on eBay for $22,000. That's all paid labor on a trailer.
So for low 20s, you could build a tiny house. Thank you, Bill. Appreciate it. I want to call up, there's this great organization called Land for the Homeless in Old Richmond, New Jersey. Anne Marie, are you here? Someone said they saw you here.
I'm here.
You're here, Anne Marie? Would you come up to the mic, please? I thought we were going to do these from the seats. That's what I had told everybody. I thought they were wireless mics.
Oh, yeah, we're trying to bring it.
And real quickly, because like I said, we're going to go through these questions really quick. Would you just share with us your story about the difficulties you've been having trying to purchase land in townships for the homeless?
Yes, hi everybody. My name is Anne Marie. I'm from landforthehomeless.org. And yes, we have actually been trying to purchase property to build a legal tent city as transitional housing. And we've hit stumble block after stumble block. We actually had a proposal pretty much in place, 2 acres in market, and not one insurance company will give us insurance. $15,000, and that doesn't cover our volunteers.
How about, Anne Marie,
It's insane, and believe me, we have tried everything, even online. I mean, we're sending quotes.
Besides the numbers, though, the expense, what kind of feedback are you getting from the towns when you tell them what you want to do with the property?
Well, that's one of the biggest things, is once they hear it's a campground,
It's over.
and it's for the homeless, that's pretty much it.
Yeah.
Well, that's the way you can label most of the zoning. You can get around it, you know, if you get property and it's not, doesn't have any dwellings or anything on there. So that's what we've, what we found. And we had a really nice 2 acres out in Morgan.
So you're still going at it? You're still working at it?
Still working at it.
Yeah, that's what I mean. You're still
Yeah,
working.
we're still working at it. It's not that we're definitely very active. We've explored a couple of options. We've even considered purchasing a house that are from like the foreclosured ones.
Yeah.
So we can try to do something. We will have something because this winter is coming and it's coming quick.
Well, listen, we're going to do these things quick. Anne Marie's going to stay here. Thank you, Anne Marie. She's going to be here. Let's do some networking. A lot of people interested. Talk to everyone here. We're just going to do some quick answers here and move forward. Kent Pipes, are you here, Kent? We talked about this. Kent's from Affordable Homes Group here. And Kent, if you could give us an idea, what is the legal rights of citizens to build a tiny house, whether it's in their own yard or for the homeless or for like Anne Marie's doing?
The state of New Jersey allows homes with a minimum of 150 square feet. That's the state housing code. No town can require you to build a house any bigger than that. There's a court case, the South Jersey Legal Builders versus Mount Laurel Township. The other major court case, as you know, was the Mount Laurel zoning case, which became the Mount Laurel case statewide, which says every town has to build a certain number of affordable homes. But nowhere in that litigation was homes designed for the indigent. It was always the 30% of median income and up. So we're facing an issue with finding enough money and enough ways to build homes for those that virtually have no money. In our county alone, in Burlington County, we had over 1,100 people who were homeless on January 26th of this year, and 90% of them had less than $1,000 a month in income. 25% had less than $300 a month of income. So when you try to solve the problem of homeless, unless you have a decent house at a very, very, very low cost, people can't remain out of the woods because there's no other place that they can afford. But you can build a house, and we have one that we're converting out of a steel shipping container, and there's lots of available free land. Let me tell you where it is. Every church, every synagogue, every mosque that has a piece of land, the Constitution says they can live their faith and serve the people who their faith says they should serve. And the First Amendment guarantees that they will override zoning anytime we can find a church that says, I can put my shipping container on that church property. So if you can find a church that'll help us, we'll break new ground by suing the town when they deny us.
Ken, is anybody doing that yet? Is there any case you have, or you're literally searching for one?
I've searched all over. I know the zoning codes. I know the building codes. You have to have potable water. You have to have a septic system or a sewer system. You have to have access to electricity and access for fire equipment. There's lots of land available that has all four of those things, and usually churches are sitting on them. So find me a place where a person could live, like in a building where they would store a lawnmower, and we can put a house.
Thank you, Ken. Appreciate that. Talk to Ken later if you're interested in this. Very knowledgeable. Now I'd like to call up Rumu Dasgupta. Rumu is on the board of the Destiny's Bridge. You know, Destiny's Bridge is the name of the film because there's an organization trying to make all this happen, everything we've been talking about. Rumu's on the board. She's been real helpful with Tent City in so many ways with making this film. She's an author of a book called Introducing Social Stratification. And Rumu, what I'd like to ask you, when you get here, take your time. She's got a Destiny's Bridge t-shirt on. Will we ever see a Destiny's Bridge, Minister Steve's vision, his dream, a Destiny's Bridge community of tiny houses for the homeless and poor? When do you think we will ever see that? The real Destiny's Bridge.
That's a hard question, Jack. But you know, a lot of us have stuck with Minister Steve for over a decade now, and we wouldn't be with him if we didn't believe that it was going to happen someday. But you know, you hear all the challenges that we are up against. This is a society where the poor people are best when they're invisible. So we don't want them in any of our places where we have to acknowledge that, you know, we live in a society which is so unequal. But you know, one thing I keep, you know, when we have our board meetings, I tell Minister Steve, we can't do it alone. But there are so many people who are heading the same way, land for the homeless, and then Ken Pipes, and then there is Jeff Wild, who is trying to put people, you know, bring people together, Bill Taylor over here, and then there is Bill Barr, you know, all these wonderful people who have great ideas, who have great connections. We cannot fight the battle when we are all separated. I really believe we all have to come together and bring the people who have been with us for all this time together. We have to talk to, but you know, one thing is, we are part of the problem ourselves, because we don't see the problem, we don't see actually what is causing the problem, because we have bought into the nonsense that nothing is worthwhile unless you make money out of it. You know, if you have to make money out of apartments, if you have to make money out of homes, if you have to make money out of things which people absolutely need to survive, you will always have people who are going to be suffering. So we have to start asking for a society where people's needs will be taken care of just because they are human beings. But we all have got into that story that we have to make money out of everything. Money out of building homes, money out of building apartments. You know, if that is the motive, we will never solve the problem. So we have to convince ourselves that in our communities there will be people, you know, who need help. Just because they have issues with drugs, because homelessness is not just a matter of money. It is a matter of issues which have wrecked people's lives, because being poor is not easy. It's not easy to be poor. But I can go on because, you know, I'm a professor. So
Great, we can listen to you all day. We should have more time. Please. Go ahead, finish.
Just one word, Peter. More than anything, we have to do this because this is the right thing to do. No, it doesn't matter where it takes us. We have to keep doing it because otherwise we can't go to sleep at night ourselves. Thank you.
Thank you, Rumu. Please talk to Rumu later. Keep this discussion going. We're going to wrap this up now. Talk in the back about it. Let me just say a couple of things real quickly. There's other organizations that are here. Operation Chill Out is here. The guys from Haven Beat the Streets, right? They're here, I believe. Jeff Wild, the lawyer in the film, couldn't make it tonight. He told me to mention anybody interested in micro housing should contact him. He is now the president of New Jersey Coalition in Homelessness. You can go to my website, destiniesbridge.com, send me some information. I'll get you his email or forward it to him. In the back, if you want to get a DVD or a t-shirt or poster, anything you put into this film tonight, any donations or anything you purchase goes towards our outreach program so we can spread the word. This is how documentaries work, getting out in communities and talking about it. We'll leave your email up there. We'll put you on our email list again. And make sure on the way out, you stop in. Kevin should be out there showing a tiny house. You got to see this. You might want to buy one after you see how cool it is. And again, thank you very much, everybody, for being here today, supporting our film. Including Mr. Steve, Bill Jersey, all the speakers tonight, and everyone here. Oh, and tip your bartenders, or something like that. Okay, thank you.